Hey everybody, it's Dave with DII. I'm here with the bi-weekly DII live broadcast for Handpans, and we're going to tell you all about our handpans here and answer questions that you may have about the handpans and what we have to offer here at DII. First of all, of course, if you haven't subscribed to our channel already, the little subscribe button is over here on your right, I believe, or below the screen. The red subscribe button, click on that. Subscribe to our channel. It'll be great to see you as a subscriber. Also, click the little bell for notifications if you want to get notifications of our live broadcasts. My name is David Beery. I'm the owner of DII. DII stands for Dave's Island Instruments. The reason Island is in there is because when I first started tuning instruments, metal instruments, it was a steel drum. And the steel drum comes from the island of Trinidad and Tobago, their island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. And then we also sell ukuleles here at the store. And ukuleles are traditionally known to come from Hawaii, which is an island. So that's how we came up with the Dave's Island Instruments. And then after I opened the store, I started making handpans because handpans are a relative of the steel drum. And here we are making handpans. So handpans are now one of our main items that we sell out of the store. And we're loving it, and the customers are great. And if you get your hands on one, you're going to love it too because it's a really wonderful instrument. All right, so let's see. Oh yeah, if you want to make any comments or if you have any questions today, feel free to put them in the comments box below the video or wherever it is, on the side or wherever it is. And hopefully we can answer those questions live for you today if you have any questions about the handpan. We've got people on hand in the background who are going to be like whispering in my ear, "Hey Dave, Marlita has a question." So it'll be great. So feel free to ask those questions, and as we go through the class today, hopefully we can answer those for you. The other thing is, just give you a little history, we have a store here in Lakewood, California, which is near Long Beach, California in Southern California. And for several years, we've been having handpan classes every other week. And we bring people into our store, and people are able to experiment and learn live, together in the same room. But of course, COVID-19 has changed things a little bit, and that's why we came up with this program every 2 weeks on YouTube to do this live broadcast class. And so we've been doing this for a while, and we've learned a lot from the customers that came into the store. And so that's why we want to continue this trend of sharing this information with you to give you a broader knowledge of the instrument and all about it. So once again, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the little questions box or the comments box, and we will do our best to answer those live. All right, so basically the class is pretty much something that we do in the class is just an overview. And so if you've watched this video before or watched our live broadcast before, you see this frequently. But that's okay, because usually a lot of people that are interested in handpans are looking for more information, and especially the newbies. So we never want to let the newbies go without showing them some of the basics of the handpan. So I'm just going to review what we have to offer here with the handpans that we sell, and what the handpan is in general. So I'm just going to tell you the little basics. Here we go. Basics. Handpan basics. All right. Handpan is basically made of a top shell and a bottom shell. You can see that it looks like that. So the top shell, it kind of looks like a UFO or a flying saucer. The top side has the tone field notes. Bottom side has a big hole in the bottom. This hole is called the goo hole. You can play it, and you can kind of create some bass tones out of that. It's a pretty fun little instrument all by itself. You can get some metal tones on the bottom, and you can play those. This instrument here has 3 notes on the bottom, tone field notes. We call those bottom notes, bottom shell notes. I'll tell you a little bit about what the names of the tone field notes are on the top now. So on the top shell, we've got the big note in the middle, and the big note in the middle is called the ding, D-I-N-G. The big silver dimple on the top here, we call it the ding dimple. Also around the perimeter of the handpan, you've got these different fields. Some people call them tone fields, some people call them notes. We now call them tone field notes because It just brings it all together in one little sentence. Tone field notes, so everybody knows what they are. Just like this big ding has a dimple in the center, these notes have inward dimples, and we just call those dimples. And those dimples help to produce like a warmer sound out of the instrument. Steel drum, when you tune the steel drum notes, it has a little bit of a brighter sound, and it has a bright sound mainly because it doesn't have these dimples. And so the dimples, when they were invented, kind of gives the note a little bit of a warmer sound and less of a shrill sound. So those are some basics of the handpan. Oh, let me tell you about the metal between the notes. So the metal between the notes here is called the interstitial metal. Inter, like between, stitial, I'm not sure what stitial means. Anyway, interstitial metal, but it basically means the space between the notes. So the interstitial metal is fun because you can use it as a percussive device, like that. You can kind of create a snapping sound by leaving your finger on that area. So I'll show you this a little bit later, but in general you can use it for like a backbeat feel, like that, like as if you were playing drums. So that's kind of a fun little technique to learn. But every single one of these notes can be used in multiple ways. Part of that's because of the way they're tuned. So each within these notes, tone field notes, is basically kind of an oval shape. And you can see it a little bit best on maybe the D here. See, it's an oval shape like that. You've got the length of the oval and the width of the oval. If you were to play this note, you basically do want to aim for the center. If you were to play towards the edge of the length, you get more of a whispery kind of sound, and that's called the octave. And that's a harmonic that's tuned to the note. And then on the width here, there's another harmonic called the fifth. You don't really need to know theory behind why those are called octave and fifth. Just need to recognize that you can play different areas on this tone field to get different sounds and different qualities of sound out of the note. So in general, if you want a full sound that has all of those sounds wrapped up in one, nice little package, you just play it in the center, and it gives a nice full sound. If you want to get a little bit of a softer sound, you can play the edge here of the length, which is, at that point, you're just primarily playing the octave. And you can also play the fifth to get that fifth sound. So all of these notes have that. And I'm kind of giving a little technique here to get that fifth, where I'm muting in the center of the note with my ring finger. I'm just gently touching it, and then activating that fifth with my index finger. It's kind of a special technique. Takes a little while to learn how to do that. But I just want to give you an idea of the different options you have of playing the handpan. So if I was to play the handpan, just a simple thing like that. If I wanted to play the octaves, I could play towards the edge of the length of the oval. Right? It kind of gives it a little softer sound. If I want to play the fifth, so you hear different sounds coming out of the instrument by just playing in different spots on those notes. So that's kind of an exciting part of this instrument, because this instrument to some people might feel limited, but some of those limitations are kind of fun to explore because it's not like a piano with 88 keys, but you have all these different harmonic options to create and be really creative with. So that's one of the fun things about this instrument that you'll really enjoy as you progress and get better. Okay, let's see. So that's basically the overview of the handpan. I didn't talk about scales. A lot of people have questions about scales. The handpans we make are all D minor scales. We really like the way D minor sounds on our instruments. I used to make varieties of scales, and I had them all on the wall here at the store. And frequently, probably like 80 or more % of people would really like the D minor sound. There's also a lot of D minor handpans out in the world already. So if you ever want to play along with a friend, D minor is usually a pretty safe bet that you're going to be able to play along with somebody. It has a nice warm sound. The other thing too is we have our sunset scale, which we've come upon as our standard scale. It's also called Celtic minor. A lot of people out in the handpan world know the scale is being called the Celtic minor. We call it sunset, and it's just a great scale because it just allows you the freedom to be creative without feeling like you're stuck in a corner. There's certain scales where they do sound really interesting the first few times you play them, but over a month or so of playing it, sometimes you feel confined with that scale, like you can't escape the sound of that scale. This scale has the potential of just kind of feeling good in a variety of ways over a long period of time. So I'm constantly enjoying it and playing it myself and having a lot of fun with it and not feeling too constrained. One thing we have done here, and also, by the way, that makes learning the instrument a lot better and a lot easier. So all of our instruments, since they have pretty much the same scale on the top shell, all of our materials on learning are all basically the same. So you don't have to have different instruction for a different scale or have questions about a different scale and get confused because your scale is different. So that's one thing that we're really enjoying here is it's very centered, and it's really easy to communicate the ideas and from one instrument to the next, and from one customer to the next. So, but one thing we did do, so we kept the top shell the same scale, sunset scale, but we've added some bottom notes like I showed you earlier. So the bottom notes on this instrument here, this is our Luna Clarity model handpan, and it has 3 notes on the bottom, so that's 8 notes on top, 3 notes on the bottom, so we call this the Clarity 11 because it has 11 total notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. On our RS, here it is in the back over here, this is our stainless steel model. This one has 9 notes on top, and if we have notes on the bottom, then it's going to be a 12, so it's called an RS12, 9, 10, 11, 12. Both of these instruments, you don't need to have the bottom notes on them to have fun or to enjoy the instrument, and so we just normally call this a Clarity, Luna Clarity, or this might be called the RS stainless steel. RS is A-U-R-O-U-S, and it basically means gold because it has that gold color to it. Okay, so let me just explain a few things about how to play the instrument. If you have any questions about scales, please feel free to comment, and we can hopefully answer those questions for you today. All right, so playing the instrument, if you're new and you're still getting a little confused how to play it and get it going, or if you've never even played one but you just kind of want to know what to anticipate on how to. Some people it's very intuitive, and they just walk up to it and they can just almost immediately play it. People have never played a drum in their life, or other people that have never really played music in their life are sometimes a little bit fearful of how to approach it. So in general, like I was a drummer since I've been 10 years old, so I'm very familiar and comfortable with using my hands. But if you've never used your hands to play anything, sometimes you're rigid and you're tight and you get a little bit nervous. So one of the biggest things you want to do is just relax and breathe, which is sometimes difficult for me to do while I'm on a live broadcast. There we go. So I took a breath. So you just need to make sure you breathe, especially while you're playing. So let's say I'm doing something simple like this. It's okay to take a nice deep breath and not worry about like how perfectly you're playing the instrument. Just relax and play and make sure you're breathing. Okay, I haven't really talked about breathing actually for weeks now. It's kind of funny, I forgot to talk about that, but in my classes frequently here at DII, when we'd have classes of people, it's more obvious when people are having trouble learning. You can almost see right there in front of you, they're just not breathing. And so you have to tell them, okay, breathe. Don't forget to breathe, because you need to get that oxygen into your brain, and it just makes you feel better and more comfortable. And I bet you anything, it helps you learn faster as well. So what you want to do, like I mentioned before, is usually take one finger. I've seen some people use multiple fingers and play the instrument like with a hand like this, handpan. But it tends to get a slap out of the notes. So in order to get away from that slapping sound, if you just use one finger, it reduces the slapping sound, and it usually kind of provides a little bit more of a warm sound out of each of the notes that you're playing. So I usually use my index finger, this finger here, the pointer finger or whatever you want to call it, as my primary playing finger on both hands. Usually my arm is not stiff, but it's not super duper relaxed or floppy. And in fact, usually I kind of keep my wrist a little bit flat right here. If you notice that, how that works. And when I strike the note with my finger, it just kind of falls down on the note with gravity. But it's like a spring almost, and it just falls down with gravity, strikes the note real fast, and then comes immediately off. So that usually right there is the part that a lot of people struggle with. Getting that bounce of the finger bounce on and off the note. A lot of people will strike the note and hold the note like this. Even briefly, it will mute the note. So you have to be really careful to bring that finger off of the note and just think about pulling the sound out of the note rather than striking the note downward. So instead of thinking downward, think pull up. So strike and pull up. You're pulling the sound out of the instrument. So that's one of the suggestions I would give. Another thing is don't curl your fingers too much. Like a lot of times people, when they learn how to play piano, they're told to kind of curve their fingers in a certain way. So if you curve your fingers and strike them like this, like grabbing, like a grabbing motion, that grabbing motion does not allow the notes to have a nice full warm sound. You can see that I am getting a little bit of sound out of there. And it sort of works if that's the sound that I want. But in general, that grabbing motion is not ideal. So typically you're going to want to fall down on that note and allow that sound to just kind of be pulled out of the instrument and just to flow effortlessly. You can also use your thumb. A lot of people like the thumb to be used as like their primary finger that they use to produce sound on the instrument. You can do that absolutely. When you use your thumb, it's more of a rotary motion with your arm, like this. So instead of going down with gravity, like this, like I did with my index finger, it's more of a rotary motion. So a lot of people like that. Everyone's slightly different with the way they approach the instrument, so don't feel shocked if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable using your index finger. You might want to use your middle finger instead. Or you might want to use your thumb. If you use your ring finger or your little finger, you can do that. In fact, there are times when you want to use those fingers, like when you're spreading and out and using or playing two notes at the same time. With my index finger, I'm playing one note. With my ring finger, I'm playing another note there. It's kind of hard to do that back and forth. But if you played them like this, they're weaker fingers, and so they provide like a weaker sound or a softer sound. It does kind of look cool if you want to make it look, if you want to add a performance element to the way you're playing. You can add your pinkies, or whatever, sorry, little fingers, because it looks kind of cool, but it usually does provide a softer sound. The other thing you can do is, like I said, you can use your two fingers here to produce a sound, like a harmony sound with two notes at the same time. You can also use your thumb and your index finger, like on these notes towards your body here. So you're spreading your fingers out and striking multiple notes at the same time to provide chords or to create chords. So that's also kind of a cool thing to do. You can go back and forth to provide like a sustained sound. Right, so you can do that back and forth, and I was doing that with my thumb and my ring finger. I felt most comfortable like that. Of course, you could figure out which fingers are most comfortable to you and do a similar technique like that. The bottom notes, they do require a little bit of a different technique. Just because they're on the bottom, the gravity idea doesn't really come into play. So you do have to kind of strike those in a way where, again, you're striking it and coming off of it, and pulling the sound out of it. But it is a little bit of a different touch and a little different feel. It takes a little while, a little practice to get used to it. By the way, speaking of the bottom notes, I forgot to mention on the scales. We've got the sunset scale on the top shell, but by using the notes on the bottom, you can extend that sunset scale. And so it's like a broader sunset scale, has more of the notes of the sunset scale in it. By using the B flat here on the front, you can basically make it into a chord scale. So you've got a chord scale. Over here, if you play these notes, it's more of a G minor, what is it? Can't remember the name. Pygmy scale, like a G minor pygmy scale. So by adding those bottom notes, it changes the way the whole instrument can be played. It's not just a D minor sunset scale anymore. It can be a G minor pygmy scale. It can be extended D minor scale. You could even argue that it's like an F major scale. So instead of using the D minor or a D and the D ding in the middle, you could play the F over here, and all of a sudden it has more of a happy, like sun is rising kind of to it, where it's a beautiful kind of sound with a very positive major feel to it. So the bottom notes are great because it does extend the possibilities and the options you have to play with the handpan. But you can really get started and really enjoy on a professional level the handpan even without the bottom notes. So it's just kind of a personal preference thing if you want them or not. Okay, so that's how to play the notes. If I was to give you like a little assignment on how to start playing, to play those notes and get more comfortable with playing them, I would suggest doing something simple like play 4 or 8 on each hand. So strike the note 4 or 8 times. I'm just going to do it 4 here, and then alternate back and forth just to get a good feel for it. So you might be something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you're playing, you just want to try to get a nice, even, warm sound out of the instrument. You can just go back and forth. I'm actually going a little fast right now, just for demonstration purposes. But if I was here with a class, I might be going slower like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to practice that motion of playing the instrument. Some people say, "Hey Dave, does the bottom of your hand actually touch the instrument?" Yeah, typically it does. You can do it without touching it also. I tend to like to touch it a little bit. It just, I don't know, it just feels right to me. You could extend that exercise to the notes on the side, so the right and left side here. You could do it pretty much that exercise on any notes that you want to. Just take your time and be relaxed about it. And remember, the focus isn't faster and louder. The focus is breathe, relax, and allow the sound to come out in a nice pure way with a nice relaxed arm and relaxed motion. Okay, so that's a simple exercise of getting started. Some people also want to know how to play the scale. So the scale on the top shell here, if we were just to play like the standard scale, I would start on my left hand. So I'm starting on the ding note, which is the lowest sound. And then my right hand, it's going to be going alternating. So left, right, left, right, left, right. So you're going to play left hand, and then a right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right. So that's how you play the complete scale on the top. One thing just to be aware of is on the 8-note scales, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 8th note here on the Luna Clarity and the Luna Satins, is at the 12 o'clock position. You'll notice the logo is here, and it's slightly over here on the 11:30 position, because that's the only spot we really had available. Can't put the logo here. So just make sure that that smallest note is at the 12 o'clock position. You're going to notice the two larger notes in the back, about the size of your hand, and the interstitial metal that's between those two larger notes right here basically splits your body, kind of like put that where your belly button is. And that's the good way to set this up and orient it. If you have a RS that has 9 notes on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the DII logo at that point is actually at the 12 o'clock position, and these two notes split the 12 o'clock position, 11:30 and 12:30. So just be aware of that. On this note, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 on the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4 on the left. So that's how to orient it. And so let's start again on how to play that scale from low to high. So remember, you're going to start on your left hand on the D ding. You're going to play your right on the A, which is A, and then C left, D right, E left, F right, G left, and A right. Let's see, if you start on your right hand, you're going to get all twisted up like this, which actually kind of looks cool a little bit. But it's probably not the most comfortable thing for playing music in general. So starting with your left hand, you can move all the way to the top. So an exercise from the top to the bottom, you would start on your right hand on the higher A here. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you would end on your left, start on your right. On the 9-note models here, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to start on your left, left, right, left, right, left, left, but you're going to end on your left because there's one more note over here. So that would start on your left, end on your left. And if you were to play from high to low, you're going to start on your left and end on your left. But it's important to start on your left on that D ding, otherwise you're going to get tripped up and make extra motions that you don't really need to be making. As you get better and more proficient, you will find times that you can use different hands and start with different hands here and there. But as a beginner, you probably just want to maintain like the basic plan and just stick with the basics of getting started. So that way you can incorporate the feeling of how to play the scales. And you don't want to expand too fast because you might make a little bit of mistakes here or there and then create bad habits. So you don't want to create bad habits. You just want to do what you can to get comfortable with the instrument, get a nice tone, and play in that effortless way that you see people playing on YouTube all over the place. So that's a scale that you can practice. Then we talked about just playing individual hands, 4 on each hand or 8 on each hand, spreading that out over the instrument. You'll also notice that the notes back here are a little bit difficult to get to. You'll notice that when I'm playing these notes back here, my wrist starts to bend, and it's an awkward position to play. So sometimes I will just position my handpan on the stand or on my lap to where it's the front is closer to the ground and the back is higher. And what happens now is my wrist is a little bit straighter playing these notes. So feel free to move the handpan in a way and orient it in a way that gives you the most comfort, because you don't want to be uncomfortable playing the handpan either.
Victoria loves that tip.
Oh, awesome, Victoria! I'm glad to know you're watching, and I'm glad you appreciated that tip. That's good. So yeah, so feel free to move the handpan however you like. Personally, I like to have it like this a little bit. Even though I can't quite see those notes anymore, it's not like I don't know that they're there. After a while, you really get to know where everything is on the handpan, and you're not so confused by it. Okay, so that's a little quick to-do on how to play a few exercises. Earlier, I showed you how to play the interstitial metal, so I'm going to show you a quick rhythm. We call this the Austin Funk, and I've been showing this for weeks and weeks and weeks, but it's always great for beginners. And it goes like this. So I'm going to give you a quick review of just what the whole thing sounds like, and then I'm going to break it down for you. once just now. Okay, so you heard that, and now let me break it down. So on the left hand, you're playing the ding note, just in a traditional, normal way. I'm just hitting the ding note. With the right hand, I'm playing the interval metal, just with a single finger. Ultimately, with the backbeat, you can play with a full hand if that feels more comfortable with you, or whatever finger. Usually not really the thumb, though. The thumb doesn't really provide that nice slapping sound that you want, and it actually kind of hurts a little bit. So try playing it with one finger, or like I said, or even a slap, but it just needs to you need to make sure that it's between the notes, not next to one of the notes or on the edge of a note, but really kind of centered between the notes, so that it has a very little tone of the notes, and you want to have more of a metallic snap to it. So you've got the bass tone, like on a bass drum on a drum set, and then this sound over here is like the snare drum on a drum set. So it's like bass, snare, bass, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right. I suppose if you're left-handed, you could probably do this the opposite. So it'd be right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, right, left. Either one should be fine. Okay, so that's the first part. The second part is we pause. So we do that 3 times in a row, I think. So 1, 2, I think we end on 4, 3, stop on 4. You're going to pause for a second, and then you're going to C and the D 2 times in a row. Like that. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so if I was to count those notes, if you don't know the names of them, you can count it. Ding is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So notes 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. Oh yeah, you can see it on the image on the screen. I believe they're listed on screen. So it'd be notes 3 and 4, or C and D. And you're going to go back and forth between those. So 3, 4, 3, 4, or D, C, D, however you want to imagine it. Okay, so there's a little pause, and then after you play that, you go immediately back to the left hand on the ding note. So let me just play and show you how that works. Actually, let me do the 3 and go right back into the beginning of the rhythm. So it's going to sound like this. Right, so once again, the tail end sounds like this. And it goes immediately back to the beginning. So if you want to break that down even more, you can just go, right? Bum, 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 left hand. C, D, C, D, ding. Okay? So the entire thing, once again, is going to sound something like this. 2, 3, stop on 4, rest, and then start over again. 2, 3, stop on 4, right? So sometimes, just for practice purposes, for beginners, I lift my hands on the rest. Right here, I rest and lift my hands just to show that I'm not playing a little bit. But as you get better at this, you don't need to lift your hands or anything like that. You can just stay close to the instrument and just allow that rest or that space between the 2 parts. So I'm going to raise my hands once, and then I'm going to just not raise my hands once, just to give you an idea of what it looks like when I practice it those 2 different ways. So you saw me raise my hands that time. This time I'm just going to be playing the instrument without raising my hands. So either way, it works, as long as the rhythm stays correct. So I always like this one because this is like one that a beginner can learn and play it for their friends, and it's really fun, and they can just engage themselves. And here we go. There Okay. If I was to play some other fun stuff, let's see. Austin Funk. Oh yeah, independence, right and left. Oh, there's one thing I want to show you. So a lot of beginners, when they approach the instrument for the first time, they play with their hands together at the same time. So that does have a unique sound to it, but it's not really the most musical kind of sound. If you want to create more of a musical sound, what you want to do is, rather than playing opposite sides of the handpan at the same time, move your hands to one side or the other side of the handpan to create more harmonies. So you'll see my hands are playing different notes, but they're kind of moving together from region to region, notes that are next to each other. Works. So if I was playing opposites, it doesn't always have a super melodic or super harmonic sound to it. So if you move together in a region of the handpan and play those notes that are next to each other, that's probably a better way of getting musical ideas going faster or more effectively. So in fact, if you think about the instrument being split in two, on the left-hand side of the instrument, from the player's perspective, the left side, it's going to be like a C major sound. And if you don't know what that means, it's okay. All I'm saying is it sounds good. All of those notes sound good together on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, all of those notes sound good together. So you can go back and forth from the left to the right, back to the left, back to the right, and create some music just like that. I was coming up with a couple different ideas there. I changed the rhythm slightly, and I was moving different notes here and there. But you can see I was moving from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, back to the left-hand side, back to the right-hand side. There are more intricacies and more fun tricks that you can do with the instrument other than just going left to right. For instance, here's an F major chord. So now I'm playing 3 notes at a time. A, F, and C. Had a call come in, sorry. So you got F, and then you've got the C major chord here. And then you have a D minor chord. So as you get better, oh, somebody really wants to get to know me. Anyway, so as you get better, you can learn these different chords and how they relate on the handpan and how you can create different sounds and modes and all sorts of fun stuff. So basically, though, the show is showing you how to get started with the handpan and how to get some of the basics under your belt. So I don't know, do we have any other questions out there? If anybody has any further questions. Okay, no further questions for now. That's fine, no problem. So I was glad to be here for those of you that were watching. If you do have any other further questions and you want to follow up later, feel free to contact us on our website. We've got a contact us page. If you ever want to come in and make an appointment and see one of us or see the handpans here at the store, you can make an appointment on our webpage. Just scroll all the way to the bottom of the homepage, and there's a big, I think, a red button that says appointments. Click on that and you can make an appointment with us. Or you can send us an email, info@davesislandinstruments.com. We'd be really happy to see you one of these days, and if you have any questions, let us know. All right, I guess that's it for today. I'll just play a little bit as we leave the show. All right, thanks so much for tuning in.
One question.
Yeah.
Do we do virtual lessons? Victoria's asking.
Victoria. Do we do virtual lessons for Victoria? We do lessons, yeah, you can set up an appointment, and we do have on our appointments schedule, you can go there, click on it, and it gives you an option. It says something like lessons, You set up your appointment for the lesson, and yes, we'll have something similar to this, and you can be interactive. And I think it's more like a Zoom kind of meeting, or like a where you can see each other, whatever you call that, FaceTime or whatever it is. So yeah, definitely schedule that. Go to the website and take a look. So here I go and play a little bit more here as we
Go,
exit.
Dave.